on? So, one of the most interesting developments this past week in wrestling has been the Ariel Helwani versus Tony Khan um, kind of fiasco. And I'll try to summarize this as best that I can. Ariel Helwani is a combat sports journalist. He is an MMA journalist. He hosts a show called the MMA Hour. He is based in the MMA world. He has said multiple times that he is not a wrestling journalist, but he is a MMA combat sports journalist. He has been getting a lot of steam in the wrestling world, I guess, over the past year and a half, 2 years, because of these interviews that he's been doing with a lot of well-known wrestling personalities and wrestling personas and people in the wrestling world, most notably first with Nick Khan, then Triple H, Paul Heyman. Um, Tony Khan ended up coming on to his show. He actually Ariel did an interview, I believe, with MJF as well. And so Ariel did an interview with Tony Khan, and Ariel was asking certain questions, and Tony Khan didn't really answer them. And Tony just kind of plugged his product. Ariel ended up coming out afterwards and saying that it was a bad interview, and objectively, and he was just like, he just didn't like the interview in the way that it went, because it wasn't really like, it just wasn't good in his opinion. Um, and then we fast forward to Ariel Helwani showing up on SmackDown. Why was he on SmackDown? Because he is from Montreal. SmackDown was on Montreal, so there's context there. He was also doing a voiceover VO for Elimination Chamber, like a package or something. So he was involved with WWE in that process. As he was shown on screen with, I forgot who it was, but as he was shown on screen, um, Michael Cole ended up, saying the unbiased, world renowned combat sports journalist Ariel Helwani, who asks all the hard questions, whether you want to answer them or not. Obviously, this got under the skin of Tony Khan. And then Tony Khan ended up tweeting that he is a fraud. I'm going to see if I can read the exact tweet. Um, Ariel is a he. I'm going to find a tweet. I'm gonna find the tweet. I'm gonna find the
That is
tweet.
fucking hilarious. Yeah, also the first time I'm hearing the story, this shit's funny as hell to me.
There was a I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, so he called Helwani a fraud and stated that he was as legitimate of a reporter as AEW broadcaster Tony Schiavone. Um the tweet, it said that the tweet is probably stemming from his, you know, Helwani stating that the interview with Khan in October was one of the most frustrating of his career, because Helwani was asking questions about the brawl out situation with CM Punk, and he wasn't getting any answers. Um, but I do think that Helwani is unbiased, because even when Paul Heyman was on the show, Ariel was asking questions about AEW. You watch the product. Are you familiar with AEW? AEW is doing this well. AEW is doing this well. How do you feel about it? So it's not as if he's just taking jabs at AEW. Even though Ariel Helwani has like a former relationship with Nick Khan, I believe Nick Khan was his agent at one point. Um, but anyway, back to context. Um, but yeah, Ariel Helwani was just, I think he called like Tony like a snowman or something like that, and we all know what that means. Um, but I think that Tony also said like good luck with like your unbiased journalism or something along those lines. And with all that information included, how do you feel about this situation and everything that's been happening?
I mean, the only person who's not really wrong is Ariel because he doesn't have to have loyalty to either or party. He can really do whatever the fuck he wants to do. If he felt like Tony didn't answer his questions, like again, Tony doesn't have to answer shit. He doesn't have to do shit for you. I mean, he
Right.
came onto your show and that's more than enough publicity. Don't know how big this man is, but I mean, like that's more than enough publicity for you that the motherfucking owner to AEW showed up on your show or whatnot. Now, I don't think that Tony was pressed over Ariel so much. He was just pressed in general because WWE just WWE just loves to just like kick you while you're down. If they find an in of any source, they're definitely gonna like ride that shit. And like they knew
Mm-hmm.
what they was doing with this tweet, bro. Like they know exactly what they were doing, saying, "Yep, that's our guy," and then put the goat sign. Like, shut the fuck up. Y'all know what she was doing. You guys just wanted to see if you could get underneath Tony's skin. And
Right.
it worked. Cause the thing about Tony Khan is that he's always pressed. Like one thing that he just is not good at is anything that has to do with like public record. Like he's not good at coming off like a boss. Like that's the main difference. I know that Vince is like significantly older, and I know that Hunter obviously is older too. But one thing about them, or even Stephanie McMahon, they choose what they want to acknowledge and donate their energy to. You could come up
Mm-hmm.
with all your opinions on your own because at the end of the day, you're not putting money in their pockets, so they don't give a fuck. That's
Right.
the thing about Tony, though. Regardless if it is putting money in his pockets or not, he entertains the bullshit, and then people see him as being weaker.
Mm.
So then the next person's gonna do it, and the next person's gonna do it. WWE knows that he constantly needs some type of validation, and it's just like, dude, you own a company, you have all this stuff going on. You cannot be pressed over one guy. He would have looked really good in this situation if he just never said shit. That's what I would have done. I would have just had shut the fuck up because what did it do for you? We're having this little back and forth. You know what I mean? It's not your beef is not really so much with Ariel. It's the fact that like he went to your competitor.
Mm.
You know what I mean? But again, like what was the gain out of this besides just showing your ass that yeah, like you can't take any heat. You really can't at all whatsoever. He should have just left it. But I mean, this is going to be an ongoing situation. I mean, Tony Khan has been known to argue in the DMs because he likes to vanity search because he's obsessed with what people think about him. This is not a business where if you have like such a weak ego, you know what I mean, that you engage and that you lead this because that's what's going to happen in this business. People are going to do a lot of fake shit. They're going to talk shit about you. People are not going to like you.
Mm.
They're not. This guy didn't like you because he expected you to answer some questions. You didn't answer your questions. And you said, I'm going to still collect my bag off of this, but I'm also going to jump ship because I'm entitled to. That's a grown ass man. He's going to make his grown ass decisions.
Right.
I'm just saying. Like, he doesn't he needs again he really needs like a team or a cabinet or someone to stop him or to handle his social media account because every time Tony Khan goes viral it's always along the same lines of this guy just not knowing how to control like his temper and his ego just showing is seeping through the words of his tweets and it's embarrassing. I cringe every time and I'm cringing here. What do you think about this?
Ooh. Ah, man, I'm gonna sound off real quick. So I'm gonna start somewhere, and I hope you guys can follow me. I've been reading a book called "The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding," and essentially, it's talking about just branding in different aspects and marketing. And I highly recommend that people read it and get into it, especially if they're into marketing and branding, like I am. One of the things that was brought up in the book is that the idea of a brand is to dominate a category. The idea of creating a brand, the idea of sustaining a brand is to dominate the category in which it's in. This is something that WWE has done for almost the better part of 50 years. And
Hmm.
because of that, they're going to do what's necessary to continue to dominate that category. And in some eras, it's going to look different than others. And in the Monday Night Wars, it was a matter of ratings. It was a matter of putting on a television product that was edgier, that was cooler, that was more cutting edge, that could surpass other people in the ratings. And in this case, I believe that WWE is trying to sustain their dominance over the brand of professional wrestling in the United States by doing things that they know are going to get Tony Khan to react. This is not the first time. There have been times where Tony Khan has come out and said that WWE is tampering with contracts and he's tampering with talent and da 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 da. Right? Then you have this whole Ariel Helwani thing, right? And then now he's reacting. And the funny part is, anytime you interview a WWE official, they're gonna keep it classy. Well, are you
Hmm.
competing with AEW? Are you da da da? Well, we're competing with all forms of entertainment. We're trying. Everybody's a competitor. It's not just AEW. We're competing with everybody. And that
Mhm.
alone, I feel like, is the difference between WWE and AEW. I love Tony Khan. I love how passionate he is. I love how he puts the fan first. However, like you said, there are times where I feel like he feels like his ego is in jeopardy and he feels like he has to do something that he really doesn't have to as a leader. And I feel like it's great that he
Mhm.
has now an executive team. He made this announcement, I think it was earlier in 2022, where people were being promoted to,
Mhm.
you know, executive this and executive that, and Chris Jericho's a coach, and John Moxley's this, and all these things are great for your structure of your company, but it means nothing if none of these people are going to hold you accountable. You think Chris You don't think Chris Jericho knows about how WWE gets down? You don't think John Moxley knows about how WWE gets down? You don't think Tony Schiavone doesn't know how WWE gets down? I don't know if they're in your ear talking to you or if they're not, but if they are, you need to listen to them. And anytime
Yeah.
WWE does anything towards you, you need to hold it down. Because let me tell you something. I know you got money. I know da 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 da. But the last thing you want to do is lose a battle because of you. You're getting in your own way. You're talking too much, bro. Hold it down. You're getting all these blessings. Your programming is expanding. Do you think this is a coincidence that stuff like this is happening right before it's probably time to talk an extension with Turner? That's not a coincidence, bro. Keep your mouth shut. You're in a great position right now because Turner is expanding your programming because of all the ratings that you've done. You don't want to get in the way of that by talking recklessly or just reacting to everything. You need to learn discipline. You need to learn self control. You need to learn discernment, and you need to put yourself in a position where you're saying, you know what, they're gonna try to make me to react, and I'm not gonna react because the moment that you react, they're in control. They are now able
That
to
part.
affect you. You're phased and you're pressed, and the whole world knows because the moment that WWE, oh, WWE's tampering with my contracts and tampering with my talent and da 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 da, that's business, bro. WWE is
Yeah.
trying to dominate the brand of professional wrestling in a market where you're trying to infiltrate and gain market space. Yes, they're going to tamper with your talent. Yes, they're going to say things on air that are going to get you mad. That's part of the game. Shut up. Hold it down. Oh, he called me a snow. Okay, hold it down. It's not that deep. They're
Word.
gonna say whatever. They're gonna do whatever to get under your skin. Why? Because you're on the come up and you have a
Yep.
great product. Don't jeopardize your great product because you don't know how to have self control. Because you don't know discipline. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on about this, but bro, once again, you're a fan. I'm not gonna call you a mark because I feel like that's disrespectful to Tony Khan. But you're
I
a
would.
fan. You're a
It's a
passionate.
fucking mark.
Hey, see,
Sorry.
and this is where we differ. This is where we differ. You're a fan. You're passionate. You're a fan. You're passionate. You want to do the right thing. You want to be ethical. I respect that and I love that. But bro, number one, get people around you that are gonna hold you accountable, and number two, stop reacting to what these people are doing. What WWE is doing to you. It's for a
Mhm.
reaction, for a reason. And on top of that, you can't get mad when Cats is like, oh, well, oh, that was a horrible interview. If you're going up on people's platforms and you're not answering questions, you know what you're doing. If you're not ready, if you weren't ready to answer that question, all right then. If you wanted to keep things under wraps because of the complicated situation and nature of everything and you're gathering, all right then. But that doesn't change the fact that you gave somebody a bad interview and he has a right to say that that's a bad interview. He has that right because you decided to be a part of his product. But this is another thing when it comes to discernment and when it comes to self control and knowing your product and knowing, dog, if you know that somebody is known for asking questions and it's a complicated time in your company and in your product, don't go on that show. That's within your right. Don't go on that. You know, if it's October, if it's November, and you just had three or four of your biggest stars in your company have an alleged fight backstage, you don't want to talk about it. Don't go on a show because they're gonna ask you about it. She's stupid. Like, come on now.
It's not like
Let's
he needs a
talk.
cabinet.
Like you knew what you was doing getting a part of it. You wanted to get on. You knew what questions were gonna be asked. You figured I'm gonna still just talk about the product, which is within your right. But don't get mad when somebody says that you gave them a bad interview because you wasn't answering questions. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. But I want to know how y'all feel about this whole Tony Khan, Ariel Helwani situation and everything that's transpired. Because I could be bugging, Mo could be bugging, but let us know.
We ain't bugging.